that is everything. And at that point, we'll open it up to any questions that might have come through. I'm happy to answer anything that I can.
Yes. Thanks, Loann. Thank you very much. We do have one question that came in from Patty. She would like to thank us for this wonderful class. And she does have a question on what to do to keep her flowers fresh if she doesn't have a cool room for them. Oh. She lives in El Salvador, and the weather is not that hot, but she's done it a few times, and she just wants to keep them fresh in fresh water, but they are not good just for 2 or 3 days, and the aroma is gone. So do you have any suggestions?
Absolutely. So if you are a boutique or a studio florist that you might not have large scale refrigeration or any refrigeration at all, you really need to keep your flowers as cool as possible. But this is where proper nutrition for your flowers, proper flower food in your water is going to be critical. We're going to do the same things with those flowers for studio designing. Keep them out of direct sunlight. Keep them away from drafts. Keep them in as cool a place as possible. Use flower food in your water that is properly mixed. This is going to keep your flowers lasting as long as possible. Soak your floral foam in properly mixed flower food water, contrary to some opinions or thoughts. OASIS floral foam does not have floral food in it. You need to make sure that when you soak it in water that has properly mixed flower food in it. Fill your vases with water with properly mixed flower food. And then the last thing you're going to do is use a finishing spray like Crowning Glory or Finishing Touch. And these are all those steps when you don't have proper refrigeration are going to help your flowers last as long as possible. But the key, start with clean buckets, proper flower food in the water, properly mixed, flower food in the vases, flower food in the foam, finish with a finishing spray, and that's going to give you the best bet to keep your flowers fresh as long as possible.
Great. Thank you. We have the next question is from Claudia. How do you know what prices to charge? Do you have an equation you use?
Do have an equation. So I'll give you general rules of thumb. You're going to adapt these to your specific situation. I'll give you an example in a minute. If I forget, remind me. Typically, most retailers have a 2 to 3 time markup on hard goods. Ours is 2.6. That's what works for us. That's what covers our overhead. So on fresh flowers, 3 to 5 time markup on fresh. I'll give you one example. There was a fantastic article in Floral Management magazine. It profiled 2 flower shops in Valentine's Day. I believe it was Valentine's Day, and their pricing structures. One flower shop was in New York City, had a 5 time markup on fresh flowers, and one flower shop, actually is very close to me, had a 2 time markup on fresh flowers. Both profitable. One was more on a production style design, one was more on boutique and unique style design. But those price points worked for them. So you need to find out a pricing structure that works for you. You also need to add labor to your designs. If you do not add labor to your design, you are doing this as a hobby, and this is a very expensive hobby. You need to be paid because you touch the flower and you put it together in an arrangement. So what does that labor charge look like to you? 20 to 50% is a pretty broad range, but you know what your labor is, you know what you need to charge, so you need to make sure you add that labor charge to your designs. I hope that answered the question.
Great, thank you. We have a question from Adrienne. She would like to know, Valentine's Day will be my 1-year anniversary, and I over-ordered last year. Any suggestions?
Well, congratulations on your 1-year anniversary. And the good news is you have 1 Valentine's Day under your belt. So you over-ordered last year, and you know what's coming up this year. You know how much your sales have increased. So you've been open for a year now. You want to take that into account. You definitely know how much you over-ordered on certain areas. You could start with again, if you can look back and draft, what would have been the perfect order for that holiday? If you could do it all over again, what would you have ordered? Then take a look at your sales and how your sales have increased over the year. Maybe add in a percentage for growth, because I'm sure your business has grown as you've been open for a year. And then use that as your perfect baseline order. Now, it might not be absolutely positively perfect. You might want to even reassess when you get a little bit closer to the holiday, but that's probably going to give you the best ordering for the upcoming holiday. And congratulations again on your anniversary.
Great. Thank you, Loann. Bill would like to say, go boilers. To
Boiler up!
Throw that in there. Yep. Are there any other questions from our audience? We'll give it just a second here. Okay, here is a question. Where do you start if you have not done any Valentine's Day promotions before?
If you've not done any Valentine's Day promotions before, right. What you might want to do, you might want to take a look at different price points that you currently sell. I'm sure you can figure out what your average sale is. You might want to increase that by a bit for the Valentine's Day holiday. And then you know your customer base better than anyone. Are you more of an earthy, natural look and style? Is that what your customers gravitate toward? Is it more of an urban and upscale? You might want to focus on that as your main bread and butter arrangements, and then add in some of those things that are going to be a little more edgy. So, for example, we might create a $70 price point arrangement. It might be geared toward that more earthy and natural person. It might have things like curly willow or even magnolia, or just a very earthy and rustic feel. We might have designs or customers that are much more urban and upscale. If you're in an urban and upscale area, you might maybe focus a little bit more on tropicals, sleek containers, things like that. So what we're going to do is start with a price point that we have in mind, and then design that, take off our labor, use that amount. For example, let's say we have a $100 arrangement that we want to have a $100 price point. Let's say our labor is 20%. We're going to take that right off the top, and I know that I have 80% to create that design with, or $80 to create that design with. Out of that, I'll take my container, my foam, all the fresh flowers and foliages I'm going to use, and then I'm going to photograph that, give it a very attractive name, and then post that on my website. And then I'm going to do the same thing for maybe a $50 price point or a $200 price point, and create those designs that'll fall into those categories.
Great. We had one more question. This is my first class. Would you recommend baskets or vases for Valentine's Day?
And the answer is yes. As we mentioned, anything that holds water or foam, you know your customers. Are you in more of a basket community? Vases, we sell a ton of vases. Again, as I mentioned, it is possible that we might be a little short on one product or another, and we need to be very flexible and open. Can I do a dozen roses in a basket? Absolutely. Can I adapt if I don't have the vases necessary? Absolutely. So I would have offerings that are some people are going to gravitate more toward glass or ceramics. Some people are going to gravitate toward more wood or baskets. So you know your customers. What do you typically sell, and what do your customers normally like to see from you? And we'll have basket arrangements, we'll have vase arrangements, we'll have ceramic, we'll have boxes, we'll have pretty much tins. We'll have a wide variety of offerings that will appeal to many different types of customers.
Thank you. Chrissy is loving the seminar. She'd like to know, how many days before the 14th should you start offering those arrangements, or only directly on the day?
Oh, no. You want to make sure, and this is where you can go to that checklist and get an idea of promotions. There's a fantastic checklist on oasisfloralproducts.com that'll give you an idea of when to start promoting. Even start promoting a month before the holiday on social media. Remind your customers, Valentine's Day is coming up. Call us early, order early for the best selection. You want to promote early. And read that question again. There was something else in there I missed.
Great. Love the seminar. How many days before the 14th should you start offering those arrangements, or only directly on the day?
Right. So how many days before? We will try to have them up on the website maybe 2 weeks in advance. Mm-hmm. So maybe promoting them on social media. Here's a really cute teddy bear flower combo we're going to be offering. We're going to have those at least 2 weeks, if not more, maybe even a month before the holiday. Sneak peek at what Valentine's Day offerings we'll be having. You know, you can put out little teasers on your social media. And then as far as production goes, we're going to start production, some things 2 weeks before. Prepping and foaming containers, filling vases. We may start that 2 weeks before. We'll start maybe dropping those pre-made greens bunches into those arrangements maybe the week before, or 5 to 7 days before. So it's the bottom line of, what do you have? Do you have proper refrigeration to handle all of this and have that, or do you have to work last minute because of a lack of refrigeration? But when, as much as possible, get as much done as early as possible as you can, and set up those timelines now, those ideal timelines. In the real world, is it going to always work that way? No, but we need to plan for the holiday as much in advance as we can.
Great. We have one last question here from Terry. I'm curious to know what other shops charge for a dozen roses on Valentine's Day. What are your thoughts on that?
That's an excellent question. Some shops don't change the amount that they charge. Now, typically what we see at the holiday, because of increased labor charges and overtime charges and increased other charges that are associated with just the cutting of the crop 6 weeks before the crop is harvested, and the increased labor charge that happens on the farm end, then that gets translated. It's not just because they jack up the price. Part of it may be because what the market will bear, but I'll tell you, a lot of it has to do with increased labor charges and increased production charges when it comes to getting those flowers ready for us, all in that mass quantity, all on the holiday. So yeah, did that answer the question? What do you charge for a dozen roses? Depends. In New York City, it might be $150. In some place in small town America, it might be $60. So it's hard to say based on what you're paying for roses. What are you paying your labor? What is your overhead? On average, I can't even tell you what the average is. I'd be guessing, but I'm going to guess it's somewhere between $70 and $90 on average for a dozen roses. Again, don't quote me on that. It's going to be different in every area of the country.
Great. I think that concludes the question portion of our presentation. So again, just want to definitely, I have one more question here. Okay. We've got it. Oh, sorry, we did answer that. So again, we just want to thank everybody for joining us today. Thank you, Loann, some great information. Please look forward to more OASIS University courses coming your way. Our next one will be in January 2021. And also this class will be available on our website at oasisfloralproducts.com. And you can go there and you can review and take your quiz there. And then this is the place too where you're going to want to download your checklist. So again, we just can't thank you enough for taking the time out of your schedules today. We know your time is very valuable. So again, thank you so much for joining Loann and Smithers-Oasis for our second OASIS University.
Thank you much.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye. Have a great day.